Celestra, please tell us what happened last session.
Oh goodness. Um, this is gonna be a tough one. I believe we fought a big giant snake spirit of some kind while Rev was kidnapped underground somewhere. And we're still in the desert, and I don't remember much more detail than that.
I mean, nothing you said was inaccurate.
Parmelia knocked the Eidolon out of Karato, who was possessed by the snake, and we eventually found Rev, and Sophia talked a lot to us about things.
Nothing inaccurate about that either. Is there anything people would like to add?
But that she believes we can do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to her. Anything else people would like to add? In that case, it is the evening directly after Reverence has finished his little trick that lets you talk to Sophia. She has gone out of his mind. You have already set up for another long rest. You still have a good week before you reach the crater. What would the party like to do?
That's right, we're taking a full long rest
Yes,
in order to recover the Sophia, if I recall.
correct. Think of this as you have set up the camp, though you have not technically done the long rest yet.
Sure.
I mean, let's be clear here. You know, two of your party members will easily be able to overhear anything that you say, uh, even if you're 60 feet away. But it's definitely safer to stay within visual range.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure. What's up? Uh, sure. Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm fine. Hey, no command, huh? Sorry? He winces. Not, no. I, I, I don't even know where to begin with whatever it was she was. Well, she said she was having a conversation, I think. So I don't know if there was more to it than that or not. I will nod. Okay, what's up? Would you elaborate? I think so. Yes.
An incredibly brief rundown, yes. More accurately, you fought Karuto.
So, I take it this is the confusion you mentioned earlier. So to make sure that I am on the same page, you decided in my absence, which makes sense for someone to be in charge. Leorin suggested that it was you, and it seems that that was what was accepted. Yes. The snake appeared at night. There was a decision to be made as far as how to proceed. You made a decision to subdue Karito. He did not. That had consequences that affected Salastra. And then he said, if anything happens to Karito, it's on you. Is that correct?
That's right. That's stupid. That's not true, because that would mean that he's responsible for that fire monster killing me, and he's not. If anything happened to the Karito, it's because the snake made his Eidolon possess him.
So what happened after that? It seems you subdued Karito.
We found a solution. Using Permelia's weapon, we took his Eidolon off of him. He's better now. It was scary. We subdued him, and we moved to heal him, but when he got up, he was still possessed. So Permelia thought quickly and subdued him again, and this time the Eidolon came off. It's in its gem.
I see. You've given me much to think about.
I know it's a lot, and you just got out of wherever you were.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Six.
He did come up to me to apologize.
What did he say?
He said he was sorry for what he said, and I didn't want to make it a thing, so I said, yeah, you know, sometimes when a battle's really scary, we panic and say things we don't mean. And it was really scary.
You did well.
Her ears perk up. Thanks.
Revel nod.
I-
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to make a suggestion about the chain of command.
Certainly.
I think in your absence, I'm not the most appropriate person to be the leader. I think Navali is.
I see. I think that makes sense. I think this is something I will address with everyone in the morning, but I think I agree.
She nods. Thanks. Do you need anything?
Not at this time. Thank you again, Six.
She nods. I'm going to go work on fortifying camp.
He will nod.
Leo setting up the dome.
Is there anything else people would like to do before you start assigning watches?
I'm trying to remember our general tactical situation of like, are we out of a always screaming zone at the moment?
You don't hear anything in the distance at the moment. Everything seems fairly safe. I'm going to remind you that Rev has actually regrouped like 36 hours ago, and you had another long rest. You're all at full resources.
I suppose we rest then.
Okay. Please set up watches.
Big two.
I mean, thank you for making it completely random and somehow the dice just setting it up for you perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Dice.
Thanks, Dice.
6 in Slostra. As first watch, please. You know how this goes at this point.
You have pretty high perception, don't you?
It is a +3
Ah, mine is actually higher.
advantage.
I somehow GM rolled that, but it was a 15.
6, could you roll me a nature check?
Easy.
It's quiet, and you don't notice anything in the night. Everyone has dark vision. You feel secure, at the very least, especially with how you've set everything up. You feel extremely like you would know if anything was coming. You cannot tell anything is coming, so you're very safe.
Celastra,
What's that?
you did very well in that battle with Kareto.
Oh, thank you. I didn't think so. I kind of almost died, but it worked out.
Being hit and taking damage doesn't mean that you fought poorly. You were always there when we needed you. And I'm grateful that Nabali was there for you when you were in danger.
Me too. I just feel stupid for getting caught off guard like that.
No, not stupid. All of us make mistakes. But if it troubles you, then it's a lesson for next time.
It's true. I definitely learned from it. For next time we fight a giant desert snake.
Hopefully never.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I never want to repeat that. We could fight Kareto again, though. I think we could take him.
Probably.
Kareto snores and rolls over.
See?
Yeah, he's not so scary anymore.
Something that Sophia said concerned me.
Which part?
She was very upset about New Victoria and warned us not to go there.
Yeah, that was interesting. What do you think that could mean?
I don't know, but Sophia isn't usually wrong. If they have a weapon capable of doing what happened in the desert, then I don't know. They're more dangerous than I thought.
Well, I guess maybe if they have a lot of Aethersight, they made something really powerful out of it.
If you still want to go, I promised you I'd go with you, and I intend to make good on that.
Well, I'm not sure I want to be responsible for whatever ends up happening if we do go.
Yeah. Well,
I think
okay.
I I think at this point Sophia is worth trusting, don't you?
I do.
Maybe we should ask the group in the morning.
She nods. When we get to that crater, I don't know what's going to happen. But if a fight does break out, I'll have your back.
Thanks. Same to you.
She nods, sort of confident and satisfied.
Are you expecting a fight?
Yes. There's been a fight at the site of every other Eidolon.
That's true.
I wonder, will it be some horrible monster that's made out of a dragon and my mom?
Oh gosh. I hope not. Well,
I hope not too.
I guess we better prepare. I need some rest.
Me too.
Well, I will tell you that first watch, no one got ambushed. Congratulations.
Yay.
Wow.
Leo and Rev, you know how this works.
I got a plus
Uh,
5
Do it.
with advantage.
Yes.
Could you roll me a nature check? Don't worry about it. The night continues to be quiet. Every now and then you notice that the sand has been completely unchanging and that your mind is still, it's the kind of thing of everything in this place is terrifying. The eerie silence really does not help your mental state, but you don't sense any danger.
I'm glad you're okay, Rev. We were all worried.
Likewise, it was well, it's an experience I'd not want to repeat.
I well, who knows what we're walking into next. We might be forced to repeat it, albeit against something else.
Perhaps.
Leo's just kind of like mulling over things. Um, Kind of like perhaps a little fidgety, but maybe unclear why. Or it's just standard nerves because of the desert.
Rev looks very tired and like very pensive.
um, You, it's a small thing. You said you had more of that chalk.
Indeed.
Would you mind if I hold on to some of it at least, just in case we need it? Not that we were going to leave you behind or anything, but it had just sort of occurred to me when we didn't know where you were, uh, or, or rather, how we would find you. That I wouldn't be able to get people out if it came to that.
I see. Why don't we discuss it in the morning?
Leo kind of raises an eyebrow, like kind of the. If you could read his mind, it's sort of like I don't see what there is to discuss about it, but he just sort of nods. Um, but he's reading the room, and so if Rev is not really going to engage in anything, then he's going to let you rest because you said you look tired.
Yeah, I think that's probably as far as Rev's getting engaged this evening.
We wake up the third watch.
Correct, and there is no danger and nothing happens during the second watch. Third watch.
Go for it, Karito.
Oh, that's just cheating.
Oh, let me read my character sheet. Oh no, that's the wrong character sheet. That's the one which Scan should have removed access from me for.
I did.
Did you?
Yes.
I can still see it.
Real weird. I'll fix that again.
He's still
Fix it.
possessed.
Fix it better this time.
He's still possessed.
There, I
Ah,
double click
no.
save changes. It should be gone.
Yep, it's fine now.
How are you feeling, Clarito?
Fine. I mean, still a little sore, of course, but
It's good. We were worried there, but I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Karuto, just like everybody else, could you roll me a nature check?
sure. Sure. Let me just check the toggle. Oof.
Hilariously, the DC was 10.
Nice.
There's something you're starting to notice. Something that has made this night eerie, and at the very least, you're looking back and noticing your footprints and thinking every other time you've rested and thinking back to the past few days. There has been no wind in the past 48 hours.
Character is concerned about this.
The sand seems completely unmoving.
Character mentions this to Gale, that it has been unusually still.
I don't know if there's anything I could think of that could help give us an answer to that, but that is strange.
Well, it is something to keep an eye on.
Mhm.
Outside of that, it seems completely quiet and safe.
And then we get attacked by 4 dragons.
I'll wait until the
Ah,
morning.
shit.
Any conversations you two would like to have, or should we fast forward to people waking up?
Nothing I can think of.
It's all good.
Morning comes. You successfully long rest. There was no issues.
Wow. I had at some point spent 1 spell slot, which I've recovered.
The sun comes up. All of you wake up. You have a long journey ahead of you. What would the party like to do?
So at breakfast, like Rev will kind of wait till everybody gets together and breaks out their rations or whatever. And he'll say, "So I've been reflecting upon my recent absence. It has been brought to my attention that a chain of commands might be a good idea. I've been deliberating about this. I don't want to, draw this out too long. In the event of my absence again, Navali, would you be comfortable stepping in, and is everyone okay with that?"
Uh, um, uh, are you certain you would like it to be me?
He nods.
I can do that, yes.
All agreed?
Character nods.
Thumbs up.
Still astronauts.
Leo nods in the sort of like eyebrow raising, wonders if something is up way. But he nods.
Revel nod. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was addressed. Leorin, would you mind stepping a ways out with me and having a conversation?
Sure. Leo sort of I'm assuming this is like the end of the dome period anyway, so he doesn't have to worry about people know the drill by now. But he will follow.
So again, Rev doesn't want to go too far out, still wants to stay within, obviously, eyesight, but wants to get a little ways out. And he will say, "So, I understand that there was some confusion in my absence.
There was a lot of confusion. It was a difficult day.
So, I inquired about that because I wanted to know how you all did in my absence. I understand that hmm. Well, I will just tell you as Six told me. There was a attack in the middle of the night. A snake appeared, yes.
Leo nods.
A call needed to be made as far as what to do. The plan that Six informed me of was to subdue Karito. You attacked this snake anyway. There was consequences that affected yourself and Salastra. And then you made claim, if anything happens to Karito, it is on 6. Do you understand why there is an issue?
Leo kind of like looks back towards the party, not sort of a long stare, but just sort of like acknowledging that this just looks very quickly at the party and then turns back to Rev and says, I understand the issue. Given the new chain of command, but even without a chain of command, I should have followed the plan. It's not an excuse, but I didn't understand things the way that Six did. And I was caught up in the moment, and I'm sorry.
I see. I think it's understandable to be caught up in something like that. It was quite hectic, to my understanding. But you say you didn't understand things as Six did. Six informed me that she said not to attack the spirit or not to anger them. She made it clear what she wanted to do, yes? Or not do.
I didn't understand the entire picture, but I find it difficult to speak my mind on the matter without sounding dismissive or like I'm making an excuse. I didn't put together the sequence of events in the same way that Six did. I could tell you how my mind interpreted these things, but if it's not helpful, you know, at the end of the day, I screwed up, you know.
Rev will gesture with his palms up. I think it is entirely helpful. I want to hear how you interpreted these things. I want to hear your point of view, please.
The conversation about the angering of the spirits had occurred prior to us even being aware of a snake. After you had been taken, we had fought a number of the lions, and in my efforts to locate you, there had been conversation. I had detected your presence underground. There had been conversation about how to get down. I threw a spell into the dirt in an effort to reveal a tunnel that I had hoped was there. And this is when Six spoke about the spirits of the desert and how such spells may provoke said spirits. I didn't see how, I don't think any of us knew about the existence of a giant snake. And so there was just sort of you being gone. And if I'm being honest, I also don't understand the distinction of what is a spirit that we are or aren't allowed to fight. I mean, everything that happened at the Oasis, was a spirit. Everything we're going to go see in this crater is a spirit. The spirit of fear, as we now know, is a spirit. And these are all three things that we're preparing and shoring up to fight. But this spirit that I didn't really understand was a spirit. It's this big snake that possessed Karito. I was scrambling for a solution. Everything I was trying that didn't involve hurting him wasn't working. And so I thought that attacking the entity directly was perhaps something that would break the effect on him. I now see the error in that, but I also don't think, I mean, everything Sophia said about it being a test of our worthiness to go on this quest to the crater. It's like at the time that wasn't a test to me. At the time it was the second one of my friends that day who had been taken. And as much as somebody talks about the spirits that I don't understand, my instinct is to choose my friends over the spirits, I suppose. It wasn't, I mean, Six made the call and everybody else was right to follow suit, but I panicked. I thought Karito, there's no way for me to not lethally attack him. I don't, magic isn't that passive. And even when we did subdue him, he still appeared to be possessed until Permilia happened upon the solution. And not that that matters. This all happened after my mistake. Like, at the end of the day, Rev, I would like to chalk it up to a misunderstanding, but I did go against the chain of command that we had set up in the interim. I apologize for that, and I will try to be better. But it's also hard for me to, from the perspective that I had, allow my friend to be possessed and to feel that hurting him is the only solution.
I see. Looks like he's kind of mulling over what was said. It is understandable to panic or for emotions to perhaps take over when things like this happen. That is also why the chain of command is so important. Let me ask you this. How frequently do we see the big picture in the middle of our fights?
I don't necessarily understand the question.
How frequently are we aware of all the factors transpiring when we are in pitched combat?
Oh. Less often than I'd like.
Almost never.
Yes.
This is why these decisions need to be made and why it is so important for them to be followed through with. I understand not wanting to harm Karito. But if it was him or someone else, and this was the choice, would you prefer that everyone fell to him?
I the I don't know what to tell you, Rev. I mean, I will do my best, but it's very hard to dismiss the idea that that letting the snake do as it chose was the best option. I mean, it's if the choice had been, if we didn't know how things would pan out with the hindsight that I have now, should we have just fought the snake?
Run that by me one more time.
Sorry. I don't think it's such a binary thing of should we have done one thing or the other. I think there was.
It is not a binary thing. It is gray, it is murky, and it is difficult. And it is also the decision that Six, who you all decided would be in charge, made.
I recognize that. I'm doing my best, Rev. And I'm going to continue to be better, I hope. But I can't change what happened.
I'm not asking you to. I think if you understand me, promising to be better is important, and we can go from there. Are we clear?
We're clear.
Rev will reach into his pocket and hold out a piece of magic chalk.
Frankly, perhaps you should give it to Navali. And if I need it, I can ask either one of you for it.
He will nod and put it back in his pocket, and he'll give it to Navali when we return. That was all Rev had, by the way.
Leo, like, I imagine we just sort of have like a nod at each other, and it's time to go back. But Leo will lag behind a little bit, and just kind of like sigh out in the desert, sort of like a sad sigh, not a aggravated sigh. But he'll eventually come back.
Is there anything else people would like to do before you start traveling? Additionally, I feel like I should point this out. Karuto and Navali, if either of you would like to have been eavesdropping, feel free to roll perception, because they can't have gone too far.
I would say Akaito would be actively doing so now.
How about you, Navali?
I am okay.
Good line party, never letting me just stir up drama.
Teehee.
Shall I assume you start heading towards the crater again?
Yes.
Let's hit it.
Crater, crater.
Select 2 people, and I would like both of them to roll me an intelligence saving throw.
I mean, I should probably be one of those.
I volunteer, says the rogue. Teehee.
Haruto seems to volunteer for all of these for some reason.
My thing is not rolling very well, so I'm going to roll it manually.
12.
+2 is assuming Navali's there.
Yeah, there's no reason that you wouldn't get Navali's aura. As you walk forward, it is the normal, long, and tiring journey. Sands and dunes come and go for the longest time. Leo, you don't notice anything abnormal during this, but Karuto, as you keep going, every now and then you just hear whispers in your mind that just don't sound like they're from anywhere. You don't sound like words, or sometimes they do. And every now and then you just feel yourself glancing over and swearing you see something that's no longer there. The paranoia starts causing a migraine to form in your head. I need you to take 15 psychic damage.
That's more than a fucking migraine headache. It's a full-blown fucking aura migraine. Hold on. 40. Yeah. Character gets a nosebleed.
You're completely unsure of where this is coming from, and part of your mind even starts justifying as possibly the heat's getting to you, maybe it's heat stroke, or maybe something in the desert is fucking with you and you cannot tell. But nothing attacks you during the day. Congratulations. You may take another long rest. Well, short rest, technically, unless you want to spend the supplies.
Does Karta talk about his experience? Do we see what has happened to him?
You see him lag for a second, and Karta, you may describe exactly how you react to this happening to you.
He looks a little more sort of worn down and struggling, possibly squinting at the sunlight. Normally he's very stoic and, just keeps going.
And he doesn't seem physically injured, to be clear about this.
Gotcha. I'm not alarmed in character.
You bed down for the night. Do we want to have even more watch conversations? Either way, watches need to be assigned.
I've got one more if you want to do it, Rev.
Sure.
Rev and me on watch.
Choose which one.
Which watch you want?
The third watch.
There it is.
I'll roll a D2 to be on a different watch. Otherwise known as a coin.
Who would like to join
Character
the...
will take first watch.
Okay. First watch. You know how this goes.
How do you want to do it?
Yep, do it.
Okay. Bump. Blah. Blah.
You see all dimensions, all 4 of them.
Time itself seems to stop as you observe. You are positive that you are completely and entirely safe. That being said, you have also definitely noticed that there's still been no wind at all. In fact, just to take a step back and re-describe that, part of your brain, especially with the migraine, makes you have to look back at the way you traveled here. And before, you would always notice there would be a light breeze or something which caused the sand to shift and recover your tracks. But you can clearly see your entire pathway here for as far as your eyesight can go. It's unnerving and unnatural even for this desert.
Is this something that's sort of been shared with the party at this point? Over the
That's up
last...
to Karuto.
Okay.
Character is in a sort of grumpy mood after having basically a headache all day, and he's keeping very quiet.
Leo doesn't... I mean, I don't think Leo has anything to start a conversation with.
Celestia and Volley.
I don't think I have anything specific.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Still need a perception.
Okay.
Fine. Nice.
Well, Navali, you are already aware of the wind stopping because you were with Karuto, so I don't have to re-explain anything. But outside of that, Navali, you pay close attention. The only thing you hear every now and then is your girlfriend every now and then murmuring to herself, but she told you that she's going to be doing that.
He did tell me that, it's true.
Shall we simply move on to Revan 6?
Think so?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Revan 6. Perceptions, please.
What's your perception again? I forget.
You gonna roll?
Sure, I'm +5. Advantage?
Yeah, go for it.
Hell yeah. So, at some point during watch, when it's quiet, 6 looks over at Rev, pointedly. Rev,
Yes.
do you want to dance?
Um. Dance.
Yeah, dance.
Rev looks like he needs to process that.
Bro, there's nothing out there.
And you want to dance? Uh. Okay. You know how to dance?
Apparently. The spirit showed me.
Sure. Show me your dance, he'll say, rising to his feet.
If we go out of the dome, we can get back in, right? Because we were there when he cast it? Or does he have to be awake?
He just has to allow you to go in and out. Once it's allowed, you can go in and out all you want.
Cool. 6 steps out of the dome. Come here.
Alright, Rev will join.
I have no idea what the actual dance looks like, Skirn.
It is a much slower dance. You can tell it is very much designed for beats to be clearly planned out, but you can see movement there. Please run my performance. Six moves with incredible grace. Rev, as you're watching, it kind of reminds you a bit of your childhood when you had to learn ballroom dancing. It clearly has that kind of rhythm. It seems that way at first, and then she quickly starts picking up speed and seems to almost be skipping on the desert, almost as if the air itself is letting her move with it. That being said, since 6 is the one who rolled perception, as she does this, she feels the ground underneath her start to shake.
Six immediately stops. She looks down.
Dexterity saving throw. Almost immediately, as you look down, you notice some of the sand starting to shift, and you leap back just in time to see what appears to be a long, thin tongue whip out and try to grab your leg. It misses entirely and then just seems to jettison itself back underground.
That wasn't part of the dance, Rev.
I think Rev has his sword at this point. He's just kind of staring at the sand, waiting to see if it pops up again. Is it gone?
I don't know.
You just stand there?
Rev will kind of gesture with his head and slowly start moving back toward the dome.
Yes. Dome.
You retreat to the dome and have no issues in getting back there.
Son of a bitch. I wanted to show you. You're always doing stuff where you like get beat up, so I thought maybe you'd want to have like fun where you don't get beat up.
I appreciate it. I liked what I saw. Perhaps maybe when we aren't in such harrowing conditions, we can pick up from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't know how to dance before, but the spirits at the Oasis showed me. They were like in my head. Permilia said their name is Sylph.
Sylph.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, apparently they like to dance. They showed me everything.
Interesting. Well, yes, perhaps when we're not in the desert, I would, if you want to, be interested in seeing some more.
Yeah, I remember a long ass time ago, you asked me for help with like being fancy, and I don't really know how to be fancy, but that dance felt pretty fancy.
Ah, I recall that was a while ago. I I like your dance. It was nice. It seemed nice.
It's fun. It feels good. I used to hate dancing.
You're very talented.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I thought I liked fighting giant monsters until we had to do it like every day.
Sort of takes the thrill out of it, huh?
Yeah, when it starts to become normal, then it gets really boring. I want to go to the beach when we go back to Dolvaran. I want to go swimming. I want to
The
eat.
beach by the city?
Yeah, we'll make one with Eidolon powers, and I'm gonna eat 5 steaks.
There is actually a beach by the city.
Sorry, that's what Rev was asking. The beach by the city.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're gonna go there, and I'm gonna eat 5 steaks.
Sure. You know what? I think that's probably well deserved. When we get out of here.
Yeah. After we go to the crater and nothing bad happens.
I'll come what may when we return.
I'll show you how to dance later.
He smiles.
Stupid monster interrupting them.
Uncultured monster.
Sus monster.
Morning comes. Nothing seemed to actually try to get into the dome. There's no further injuries that happen. I assume the party just continues onward.
I warned them about the monster in the sand first.
That makes sense.
Do you describe even just the simplest circumstances of you and Rev going for a walk?
I think 6 is blunt enough to say, yeah, we felt like dancing, and when I was dancing, this monster, like, poked its tongue out of the sand and tried to eat me.
Oh. I guess, maybe class got it wrong then, if it was just the two of you? Unless we're just still close enough to prompt monsters attacking Tabaxi.
I don't think it was one of the abyss monsters. They're all really big. This one wasn't big.
I admit, until this point, I didn't realize that there were non-abyss monsters that could tolerate this landscape.
People live in the desert, Leorin. There's, like, plants and scorpions.
Makes sense.
The very scientific classification, plants.
To be fair, you have actually seen a few of them. They're rare, but they do exist.
Yeah, I think Leo just it didn't occur to Leo that anything that would actually attack us could be native.
So, assuming that you continue on to the crater, I'm going to need 2 people to roll me a nature check.
I have +5 because it's an intelligence skill. I don't know if anybody has more than that.
I don't.
I have +2.
I have +5. Actually,
-1.
+6.
Goes Karito and I again.
Sure.
What did you just call me, Kratos?
No, I said
I said
Karito.
Karito.
Sounded like you said Kratos. I'm like, huh?
No, go kill a
Boy.
god.
A shiny golden god. Damn, your nature's been all done.
Leo, as you are traveling forward, you notice after several hours of walking that one of the dunes seems to have something sticking out of it. It's hundreds of feet away, but still within your visual range, as it looks strange to you. It's almost like an unusually large root, like a tree root. It seems to be sticking out of a dune. And that does not make any sense to your mind, because if anything, if there's a root like that, the tree would have to be, at the very least, either visible or long destroyed, and thus it should be decayed and turned to dust itself. But it's clearly just there, and it makes you feel as if something might be very wrong in this direction.
Just curious, does it trigger anything in regards to kind of like the dead trees we saw when we fought the Bahir when we went through the tree?
Roll me wisdom.
That's my best stat. Hey,
It is now. Very similar, though you can tell that there is a couple of differences, especially as you're looking very carefully. It doesn't seem like a dead root. The trees that you saw when you fought up here were clearly just dead roots and dead trees. This seems to have some kind of life to it, but the only way to get more information is to get closer to it. It definitely feels alien to you, and as if you're on the right track of something that isn't quite right.
mhm. And I'm assuming this is the only tree evidence of a tree at least that I've seen outside of the oasis.
Correct. Every other plant you've seen here have been like cactuses or these small bushes.
I'll kind of like clear my throat in an attempt to get people's attention, just sort of like point uh, at the in the direction of the route and hoping people will follow. It says something's out of place. There's no trees in the desert, are there? It's wood.
I'm pretty sure we've seen trees at the Oasis, right?
You have, but that was an oasis.
Oh,
Are there any?
nope.
uh,
Characters just confuse you all.
Yeah, Leo's kind of looking towards 6 and is like, are there any landmarks of giant trees that would have roots of this size?
Are there?
No,
No. I have no idea what that is.
It, rem- it reminds me of the trees in the blighted continent, and I don't know what that means.
Let's investigate.
Very well.
if you intend to actually look around, I'm going to need investigation from 2 of you.
Leo's gonna drop a detect magic as part of this. Not a ritual because he doesn't want to linger too long.
I have to check something.
You can go 3 feet of dirt, but he's just kind of trying to look at what's visible, perhaps.
Okay. You don't quite sense anything, but I might add something to the investigation with it. Then again, you do have to get within, I believe, 30 feet of it. Want to get close enough to get within 30 feet of it?
Yeah, I mean, Leo is trying to figure out what the marching order is here, but if he's sort of pushed to the front to lead, then he will do that until somebody tells him not to. I'm doing it.
All right. That's a good investigation. Does anyone want to also roll investigation with Leo? Assuming you actually are thoroughly exploring what this root thing is.
If nobody else does it, I will do it, and you do not want me to do it.
I think there's nothing
Fine.
wrong with you doing it.
Character will go with to make sure Leo doesn't do something dumb.
I think Six's actual posture is, if you don't go with him, Karuto, I'm gonna go with him. Do you want me to go with him, Karuto? I will investigate. That is a threat.
Leo, as you get closer and you start looking through the sand around here, you start noticing the sand seems constantly a little bit disturbed in areas. There is clearly signs that there might be more than one of these roots. It is just the only one that's currently visible.
Is there?
And
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
as you get a little bit closer and start looking about, you notice a very faint necrotic energy. And both you and Karuto, as you get an actual close visual, realize that this isn't tree bark. This is petrified flesh.
I'm backing up without the intent of getting much closer. Karuto, I don't think this is good.
You said petrified tree flesh, right?
No, petrified flesh.
Oh. Terrifying.
I'm not trying to investigate further, but I do want to discern from where I am. Does it seem to be coming from a particular direction? Like, is there a sort of like fan out of these roots that are sort of like I'm trying to discern if there is an origin point, quote unquote, from where these might be growing. Is it in the direction of the crater, or
With the 20 and 23, I will say, as you kind of look to the areas that look slightly more disturbed, you quickly start to triangulate in your mind where could the actual origin of this be. And you get the feeling that it is actually in the direction of the crater, though you're several days away, so you doubt it's the actual crater unless whatever is there is fucking huge.
Mhm. Leo just has a look of concern on his face and is sort of suggesting to Karuto that we head back.
Character shrugs. He doesn't seem too put off by this. It's a bit weird, but they seem weirder.
Well, there's magic in the air of a ill-natured kind.
Character looks a little sort of nonplussed at that. What is new?
Given the choice, I'd still rather walk around.
That makes sense.
Leo, oh, go ahead.
With that in mind, how long would it add to the journey? Let's go.
You'd have to essentially just add an extra day if you want to
That's not too
fully
bad.
avoid it.
So how are we on supplies?
Plenty. I mean, we should talk about this with the group, but
Okay.
yeah, Leo, this is the scouting mission, but I guess we'll come back and Leo will just sort of fill people in. Necrotic energy in the air. It's actually flesh, not tree. It's pretty big, but probably not from the crater. I would. Can you, Skirn, when you said it was disturbed, can you clarify what that means? Like
You
somebody
notice
was there?
Not disturbed in that sense. Disturbed as in clearly the roots have moved sand.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So like it because of your high investigation, you can notice these cracks where that would normally be very hard to tell.
I am assuming that this is alive, and that, but who knows? I personally want to go around, but that would put us a day off schedule.
I mean, this is what we have all the extra supplies for. If it's dangerous, I could understand wanting to go around it. Look to Navali and Celastra.
That sounds like it makes sense to me.
So astronauts.
When we close this gate, my assumption is that everything that's in this desert still needs to be dealt with, yes? Like we would be halting further things coming through, but the things that have already made it to the other side, I assume that they're here to stay until they get hunted down.
I don't know.
I think it's a fair assumption. But yeah, I don't think we know.
Well, what should we do?
Go around, I believe.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we go around.
You circle around and you have no issues in keeping away from what you saw as disturbed land. You, instead of going straight southwest, head south and then intend to head west. It's going to add an extra day, but hey, you won't have to deal with whatever this is. Evening comes. Go ahead and set your watches.
All day rolling.
I
Uh-oh.
will take third bed.
Can't always work out. Karate, you going first watch or third watch?
Let's roll a coin. Yes, roll a coin. It technically works. It
Sure.
doesn't fall over. Okay, first watch with Leon again.
Hey,
Wow.
Leo and Karate, go ahead.
Roll with
Then again.
advantage.
Okay. Nice.
Remind me out of character. Your emerald, the Eidolon emerald, we just like put it in a box or something, right?
I think so.
If memory serves, that is what you did, yes. I believe, technically speaking, Navali currently has it.
Gotcha.
Does not seem to have attempted to go near Karuto at the moment.
Mhm.
And Karuto, I assume you would have told me if you tried to grab it.
He's been very wary of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Leo's mind, and that's why I asked. He's going to bring it up and say, "I've noticed that you haven't tried to communicate with your Eidolon again."
Character packs this slightly, then nods. It is a fractured relationship. I need some time to consider.
When you say, I suppose I might be missing some context. I saw Permelia get it out of you. I don't, but I don't know how that felt for you. Did something happen that made you see things differently with it?
I do not remember feeling anything, Leon. But to hurt my friends, even by mistake, it is not something I desire.
I understand that. I've said it. Uh, I've said it before when I've expressed concerns over Navali's Eidolon and just sort of clinging to that word that we heard when those centaurs so long ago told us that it had been corrupted. And then before we met Sophia and Pandora, of course, we all know that Rev's Eidolon was something different. I don't think that's. Well, I guess I admit we don't know anything about what really happened and how it happened, but you didn't seem to be I don't think you were controlled in that way. There are mysteries to uncover, but I guess I didn't read into it the same way as I did with the Death Eidolon or anything.
Hmm. Regardless, I do not wish to deal with the devil. At least the devil I do not know.
Is
He
there
smiles.
something?
Just time is all I need, Leon. Possibly when we are not having our lives threatened by other things.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. I certainly don't mean to suggest like I'm pressuring you to take it. I, I don't even know if I would want one, and I've never even seen or never even had one before.
I will do my best to let you know if I require help.
Yeah, Leo leaves it at that. Watch 2.
Briefly, as you stare out Karato, you do notice, just for a split second, that the stars seem blocked by something huge in the sky. It seems to just fly over you. Doesn't seem to stop, though.
I'm just going to assume that's a phoenix.
Watch 2.
Should I roll with advantage again, Celestra?
Do it.
Do you have anything you want to talk about, Celestra?
Not particularly.
Me either. Six makes small talk about the beach trip.
Celestra's excited.
During your small talk, 6, your ears twitch and you hear a distant sound that sounds like a boom. It's far away. You're pretty sure you're safe.
So I was awake last time when the phoenix bombarded us with its eggs. Does it sound like that?
Like that, except like a mile away.
There's a phoenix in the area, but it's far away. I think we're safe.
Oh boy. Okay. I'll keep my eyes out.
I hate birds.
All of them?
Before it was just some of them, but now it's all of them.
Fair enough. That is a nasty bird.
Oh, I almost picked one of those things up. When watch changes over, I warn them about the phoenix, perhaps a mile away.
Okay. Navali, Rev.
You want to roll Navali?
Sorry, I said sure.
Navali,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm sorry for springing that chain of command thing on you without talking to you. Are you okay with that?
I am a little nervous about it, admittedly, but I understand that someone needs to do it. I am still nervous, though. I'll be
Let's
fine.
let's talk about why you're nervous. What bothers you about it?
I I don't know. I guess perhaps it's just I've never led a group before. I've never, I guess, been the one that somebody looks to make a call on something. I was always somebody who just did as I was told. So I'm thinking that I'm the one who's going to be doing that sometimes. It just, I have no experience with it.
I see. And I can understand where that comes from. Uh, experience like that, I mean, it just happens, I guess, or it felt like it did in my case. But hmm, one thing I'm sure of is that while it may be difficult to lead, I trust that you'll keep everyone safe. And you'll make the calls necessary to make that happen.
He does smile a little bit at that.
That's why I chose you.
I appreciate that, Rev. I do. Like I said, it will take me some time, but I'll get used to it in the end. And I am honored that I have your trust in such matters.
Always. Rev will kind of stare out of the desert for a little bit, and then he'll pipe up again. What does what do you do with the beach?
Uh, like, what do you do at the beach? That was your question?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, um, you you go and you go play in the water. Um, you build sand castles. My well, when I was younger, when my family would take trips to, it wasn't necessarily a beach, but we had a little lake of some sorts. And my father would bring foods and tons of fruit, and we would sort of just eat and just have fun. Um, I don't think there's a wrong thing to do at a beach, except maybe being stressed out. It's supposed to help you relax. So I would think you anything that would help you would relax is a good way to spend at the beach.
Uh,
Have you ever been to a beach, Rev?
I mean, still for an I've, sat down by the water before, sort of thing. It's a port city.
Mhm.
Not anything like you're talking about.
I admit that the times I went with my family are more or less my experiences. I did go once or twice to a real beach and attempted to do something similar, but it's a lot harder to do that by yourself, I would say. But I think it could be fun going with everybody.
Yeah, Six said something. I was, I guess, curious. I didn't even know what you did there, I suppose, or what was expected. I don't know. Sounds like
I
fruits or foods, camaraderie.
mhm, maybe let's see. My my mother used to do she used to try to see if she could find fish in the lake, and she would try to bring back the biggest one. I don't think that would be safe in an ocean, but perhaps playing games. Maybe that's more of what I'm thinking of. Games and foods, just ways to relax. Absolutely.
Well, I still can't necessarily say I completely understand, but if the intent is to relax, and it does seem like at least you and Six are on board, maybe this is something we should pursue. I dare say we'll have earned it after this.
I think just having some time where, I don't know, all of us can just sort of take some time in a place with no stress, I think it will help out a lot. I mean, we should of course talk to everybody else about this. Um I just think I just think it could be a nice sort of de-stressifier from us in the sand, going to less dangerous sand. I don't believe they have giant snakes at beaches, and if they do, then I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure they don't anywhere near Dover and insofar as I'm aware.
Then I think we'll be
Both of you
fine.
roll me a nature check.
Oh gods.
Reverence. There's these things called giant eels that are literally giant sea snakes.
Okay, maybe
They live in
something.
Doveran's oceans.
Maybe something, but they're not in the sand. They're in the ocean. Either way, it sounds like it would be perhaps something beneficial. Not the worms, but the trip.
Maybe we should also see if VD would like to join us too.
Would be nice. In fact, yes, I agree.
I look forward to it then.
Me too.
All right, I see these long rests have all started to accumulate to what you plan to do when you get out of the desert. So let us continue the desert.
Let me disabuse you of this notion, says Scan.
I now have the mental image of Mira dragging out a giant fish from the ocean.
Actually, before your watch actually ends, Familia, who always wakes up with Nivale, is gonna kind of tap you on the shoulder and whisper to you. They really want to go to the beach from what you described.
We can take him to the beach then.
I don't think they have a choice if they stay in my body.
I guess that's a fair point. We will take him to the beach though. I think they'd like it.
Reb, you have noticed that Premilia has been murmuring to herself and not being her normal self. But Nivale doesn't seem bothered by this.
Raph will file that away. Maybe talk to Perbilia later.
Morning comes. You went around the main dangers. With daylight, you can see that plenty of sand seems to be blasted away to your east. Additionally, Karto, if you haven't mentioned it to everyone, you start noticing something that feels eerie. There's markings all over the sand, especially from where you traveled. Most of you at this point, after almost 5 days of traveling, have noticed that there has been no wind. Your tracks have never been dissipated. It's unnatural even from when you started.
Naruto is, as the saying goes, spooked.
That being said, do you continue onward?
Think so.
Nah, let's
Yeah,
just
let's-
stay here. No, I'm just kidding.
How many more days do we have till we get to the crater?
If my math is correct, it would be 4 more days.
Let's do it.
Oh boy.
Okay. As you start traveling this time, there seems to be almost an eclipse for a second. Maybe it's just a cloud that went over the sun. But many of you can glance up and see that something gigantic has passed over and possibly noticed you. I ask what the party does.
When you say that it has perhaps noticed us, what is this sign that it
The
has?
fact that it is now flying around the area.
Like a vulture sort of circling us, or
Yes. And you can tell it is huge, though its body itself seems to shimmer. There's dark spots all over its body, and it's still so far up that you can't quite tell if it's feathers, flesh, or scale. But every time it flaps, you can almost feel the breeze. It is the only wind you have felt in days. But it must be like a mile above you, and it seems to just be encircling your area. What would you do?
if we think we have 10 minutes, I could bring up the dome. Sorry, 1 minute.
I have a plan. I'm assuming in our supplies we have, for instance, cloth and pythons.
Makes sense to me.
Six has some experience hiding from giant birds at this point. She suggests that we put up the dome, and while we put up the dome, we so step 1, dig out a space. She has observed Leo with magic that can move the earth. Step 2, put a tarp or cloth secured in the sand over where we intend to put the dome. Step 3, put the dome. It's like we're hiding in the grass from those giant birds, except we're hiding in the sand.
Well, in the absence of a better idea, I'm not of course implying that as a bad one.
Let's do it.
So, just so I understand the plan, it's a mixture of digging and Leo using his cantrip to push the earth out of the way to create a big enough place that you can put a tarp over it and put the dome underneath said tarp.
Thumbs up. Does anyone else have any other ideas? Like, I don't want to monopolize it.
I guess the only question is how, like, even with Leo having a cantrip, that would still perhaps take a bit of time. Um, yeah, I mean, Leo just so it's just you've seen Leo bring up the dome a couple times, and so you know it's either going to take him 1 minute or it's going to take him 11 minutes. And so it's like I don't know if it being quote unquote a mile away is like how fast it is if we have time for one or the other. But Leo's just sort of waiting for the direction. He'll just start digging until he's told to put up the dome.
Okay. Let's make this in 3 separate rolls to kind of figure out what happens. First roll, I'm going to say either Arcana from Leo or Survival from someone else.
I've got a +9 Arcana.
got +3 survival.
I'm rolling Arcana.
I guess I'll roll survival. Unless
Yeah,
anyone
it's
has
an
a better
or.
one.
It was one or the other.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
I misunderstood.
so, very quickly, Leo blasts an area open. It requires using the cantrip more than once, but it's enough that you create an area that isn't having sand fall back down on it. At this point, you can definitely tell that it has noticed, and it's clearly flying closer and closer, though it's doing strange angles, as if it is very clearly circling and not coming straight towards you, giving you extra time. For the sitting at the tarp, I'm just going to make that a simple stealth check. Karuto, I'm going to assume you.
Yeah. Oop. That might be an advantage. No, it's fine. Nice.
You understand how to camouflage. And within seconds, you set up several pieces of metal into the sand and then put molten sand on it to quickly bury it underneath. And as you kind of push everyone inside, you seal it up in a way that you can easily get out. But even if something were to strike it, they would strike something solid first. And finally, just for the sake of incredible simplicity, could I get a Constitution saving throw from someone?
I volunteer. I'm going.
Do.
21.
As it starts diving down, as you get into the tarp, as the dome is trying to be set, you feel some kind of effect seem to get into your body, Six, for a split second. But you push through whatever this effect is without any issues. The dome comes up just before you hear several loud explosions from above. The tarp is torn asunder almost immediately, but then starts flying away. You can hear its beating of the wings. And after 5-10 minutes, you don't hear it anymore. You get the feeling that you lost it fairly quickly, especially since you all rolled very well.
I assume the rapid nature of this required a non-ritual dome.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Cool.
Please mark a level 1, not
Three,
level 1,
yep.
level 3 spell slot. Beyond that, you wait, and then you feel safe. Can't hear anything. The explosions stop. There's stillness again. You're fairly certain you are completely safe again. I need one of you to roll me perception to peek out of your little hidey hole to actually figure out if you are safe.
Hey, Navali, with good perception and
Sure.
robustness.
Navali, you quickly see that this area has been completely leveled. And you realize that if you intend to hide here, the creatures that dug themselves out would do so again, and you might have a different issue than the giant bird. They don't see it in the sky right now. That's probably fine.
Navali will relay that.
So we hustle up out of here and keep moving.
Suppose so.
Do it.
You'll make sure to not trip over any phoenix eggs. On the off chance
As you run out, you notice that they're not quite eggs, it's more feathers that warp into dust that then turn into these little creatures. But you run before they start to really form. And during your movement, you do realize that apparently he has lost you and just completely left. The rest of the day's travel seems safe and unimpeded, and you don't seem to notice it anymore. And we will take a very short 5-minute break before we continue and hopefully reach the crater before the end of the session.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Although we may not be able to pull up the break screen.
I'll wait for a moment until Six gets back. Quick, silently talk to each other.
Let's go. Walk, 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 walk.
So, Leorin, reading good nerd books lately? Ha ha ha. Bully character.
Got him.
How can you think of such things in a horrid place?
What books?
I mean, books. Why would you ever bring books into the desert? It would ruin all the pages.
Should I ask?
I think I do. I do think I do remember explicitly saying Leo left like a bunch of his shit back. Like
You
he does
did,
not.
yes.
He does not have books. He does not have his lyre. He is pretty light.
I will be right back.
Hi, Six. Break screen, please.
Gotcha.
After pushing onward and feeling safe after you avoided the large bird that explodes and all its little spawn, honestly uninjured, impressively, you find yourself with the sun coming down again and able to rest again. Now, for the sake of brevity, I will let you all know during the break I 100% rolled what the encounters would be, and I'm going to tell you in advance it's a quiet night. So we may skip this if you would prefer.
I'm in favor.
Yeah.
Same.
Sure.
Sure.
You bed down, you get back up, and you move on again. Hold on. Have to. Interesting. I need 2 people to roll me perception.
I'll go for it.
Just for some variety. Someone else do it.
Are you suggesting that the rogue might excel at anything that requires a lot of skill checks?
I'll Rebel do it.
No.
If he doesn't want
Do it.
to.
Navali,
Yes.
as you've been traveling for a few hours, your ears twitch for a second, and you hear what sounds like haggard breathing very lightly. And your eyes kind of naturally train towards it to figure out if it's a prey or predator. And you do notice that there's hundreds of feet away a spot of brown in this sea of yellow sand that appears to just be laying there. They're not huge, they seem to be smaller size and fairly far away. And your ears twitch again as clearly they seem to be in pain.
I think I spot something. It doesn't appear to be a creature or a monster. And she will point over in the direction. It looks hurt.
Character immediately starts looking for a way to approach it without being seen.
I'll let you just roll stealth. You dive from little sand hills to little sand hills, and as you look at the ground, you notice there have been tracks that have been going on for a while in a different direction. And then you see that someone has collapsed here. You don't see any signs of battle, you don't see any blood or injuries, but you do see the looks of Tabaxi, who seems half conscious, laying on the ground with brown fur with black dots all over his body. Their body. You don't know their gender yet.
Character whistles sharply and then approaches the person. He's also getting out his water.
As you approach, you can quickly tell that they seem delirious and don't even see you approaching.
Karito is cautious just in case they turn violent, but is soon crouching down next to them and reaching down to try and convince them to take some water.
Roll me either persuasion or medicine.
Medicine should be there under M. Okay, so medicine is 2, persuasion is -1, so I think I know what I'm going with.
Hey, we finally found stuff Karto's bad at.
Karito's terrible at social roles.
As you approach and try to convince this person to drink water, his eyes kind of flick towards you, seem to adjust, and weakly push your hand away. It's just enough force that causes it to slip from your hand and spill onto the ground. It still doesn't seem like he's fully cognizant as they stare directly at you. But you can tell that they definitely seem extremely weak and having issues moving.
I assume we all, because you whistled for us to come, it seemed like.
I have no objections to that. The rest of you start approaching, and again, this person seems too delirious to really react to this. But you see an extremely weakened looking tabaxi. He appears to be male at first glance, though fairly thin. Brown, black spots all over his body. Clearly breathing heavily and having many health issues.
Armed at all, just at first glance?
At first glance, you see his clothes seem a little bit ragged. You do not see any weapons on him. You do see a little bag off to his side, though you very notably notice that it's not big enough or secure enough to carry water on him.
I gesture to Navali and then make motion to approach.
He will do so.
6 goes with you. She's got her mask on.
As you approach him, even with Karuto nearby, the larger member of your party, Navali, approaching causes them to weakly try and get away, but you just see him slip on the sand and fall back to the ground. You can tell he's too weak to really move.
Stop.
Persuasion with advantage. You're unsure of whether he stopped because he physically can't move that much, or if he stopped because he's listening to you, but he does stop.
My slaves are trying to help you. Let them. What happened?
Supplies lost. Investigating. Seems he's having a lot of issues speaking in his current condition.
We'll talk more about it later. Looking at Navali, will you help him? Will you help them?
She nods, and she will grab out her own water and offer it to the tabaxi. I can give you some healing if you are hurt as well.
As you offer the water, Navali, could you roll me medicine? It doesn't take you too long to notice that offering him things probably won't work. It's clear that he is currently too weakened to actually hold stuff. You can easily force water down his throat, though it seems his body is still extremely weakened, and even with hydration, it's going to take a while to recover.
Does he look, or do they look physically hurt?
Nope. Just with a 20, I'm just going to flat out explain. It doesn't look like he's been attacked. It doesn't look like he's been poisoned. It looks as if he has been traveling through the desert for days without any supplies. He's suffering from heat stroke and severe dehydration, and mechanically, he has 5 points of exhaustion.
Oh, he's about to die.
Yeah, which is like, yeah, that's bad.
So even if I were to like prop him up against me and like hold it to his lips,
He could
or his
swallow that
mouth.
way. It's more
Okay.
that like just handling it to him would do nothing.
All right, she will do that, and she'll say that I'm going to prop you up against me, and I'm going to put the water on your mouth as a way to give them a heads up, and she will do that.
You manage to get the water down his throat, and it's clear that it starts helping, but it's also clear that he is not doing well enough to really speak beyond that. It's going to take quite some time for him to actually recover. He seems stable, especially once you got water into him.
Navali will look to 6.
I'm going to check with... And she gestures over to Rev. I'll be back.
She nods.
And Sixter sort of describes to Rev what's happening. There's a tabaxi desperately exhausted on the ground. He's going to die if we leave him here.
He thinks about it for a moment. 6.
She nods.
What are your thoughts about remaining here for the day? Helping him out perhaps, and continuing our travels tomorrow if he improves.
I'm going to suggest that we stay here, as you've said. Watch him, give him food and water, and then tomorrow, if they can walk, give them supplies to leave on their own.
Very good.
She nods. She makes air quotes, order Navali that's what we're going to do.
I will nod.
And that's what happens. She goes over and is like, okay, I order you to start putting up camp. We're staying here until this individual is healthier.
Navali nods.
I'll also point out Navale with that 20 in medicine. You realize he's so delirious that the fake quarters do not matter. He cannot tell what's going on.
Gotcha. She will kind of mention that to Six later. Is he too heavy for Navali to help carry
Oh God,
to
no.
camp? Okay. She will carry him over to camp.
You have no issues in doing this. You have no issues in setting up a camp. I will ask, do you do a normal setup or do you prepare for a long rest?
Can I ask how that works mechanically if we because we are actually running low-ish on supplies, not really low, but can we set up a long rest for one person and short rest for the rest? Or does it have to be one investment?
For the sake of this, I will let you set up for a single individual, but normally it will be the entire group. We're not going to let you, for example, have Navali have a long rest, no one else. But in this case, because it's a special case, you're essentially just securing this clearly very hurt individual, which is a little bit different.
I'm not necessarily making that decision, but just for people's awareness, while we have a shitload of food, we only have 30 days of supplies left, which is a plenty if we're 3 days away from the crater. But every time we take these long rests, it goes down significantly. So we could still afford to take a full long rest ourselves if we like. But I'm just mentioning that.
I'd be comfortable with only the hurt individual getting a long rest. What does everyone else think?
Agreed.
Yep.
Can I do some of it?
Fine with me.
There's one other call I want to make. Six takes her gun off of her back. I'm going to put this in his hands and tell him to focus on it. Do not let him leave with it. Them.
I will state he certainly looks male at the very least, though obviously hasn't talked yet.
I could perhaps detect if that's necessary first.
She nods. Can you do it without
I just
getting weaker?
it will take 10 minutes.
We have time.
And I don't remember if this actually tells me this or not, but Leo will ritual identify on this figure to try to detect any presence.
Has no magical effects on him.
Does that do it? I'm trying to remember. Does that track with any when? No, I don't even know if I cast identify.
No,
on
you've
6
not
so
cast
long ago.
Identify
Okay.
on 6, no.
Not sure. Sorry, I assume that he's fine, but I could be wrong.
You don't have to apologize. I am going to sleep without my gun. In case this person is suffering from the same thing I was. I can handle a night of it. He can't.
Very well.
Whoever is on watch, do not let them leave with this gun. Oh, I just saw your message, Skern.
Like pointing out, I think there might be a misunderstanding. The gun would do nothing because it happens in the morning.
Mmm. Question. If we observe this individual having nightmares in the middle of the night, and we wake them up to give them the gun, would it proc the next morning?
It procs in the morning when it tunes, so it would
Gotcha.
still proc without any issues.
Okay.
That being said, if he's unable to get a good night's sleep, there's a chance he just dies.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing we can do to mitigate that factor now as far as we know.
Leo will bring up when you were having nightmares. I think it was Celestra and Navali had at the time solutions, but I don't know if he kind of looks towards you both and says, I don't know if you would have prepared those.
I unfortunately do not have what is needed prepared. I could, if we take a long rest, but unfortunately, I do not have it prepared.
We're giving them what we have. And if they die from something beyond our control, then that's just how it is.
I suppose we'll just have to keep a close eye overnight then. Leo starts bringing up the dome because I guess we're staying put.
Mm-hmm.
You succeed in bringing up the dome.
Wow.
For the sake of some brevity, is there any conversations you'd like to have before you start doing watches? You may begin doing watches.
Let's roll. Oh
The
boy.
dice really want me to be with Leroy, apparently.
I mean, everyone else gets to switch off. Just Leo and Karuto, clearly best friends for life.
I'm with
Yes, that's
Celestra.
how I would describe us as well.
I'll go on watch too.
Yeah, the volley. We're just keeping it consistent. It's fine.
Okay.
First watch, go ahead and roll.
Karuto, do it. Also,
Yeah.
just for the sake of it, Leo is going to ritual cast detect magic in the presence of this person.
Doesn't seem to have any effect on him. Karuto, could you additionally either roll me investigation or survival? The night is quiet, but your eyes focus upon the tracks on the ground. With the fact that no wind seems to have been removing them, it's very easy to actually figure out where tracks come from. You can tell he seemed to wander in a circle for a bit, but eventually you follow where they would come from, and it is directly towards the direction you are going.
Hmm. Who's second watch again? It's going to be 6 and Rev. Okay, cool.
Second watch is Navali and Rev.
No, I rolled 3.
At 6, roll a 3 first.
Oh, whoops.
Leo doesn't have anything to talk about.
Additionally, I will say that he seems to be resting just fine. Doesn't seem to have any issues at the moment. Navali, Rev. Watch number 2, go.
Upon waking them out character, will mention to Rev that it appears he was heading in our direction. And perhaps we can escort him.
More accurately, came from your direction.
Oh,
you're
came
going.
from our direction. Okay. Sorry. I got that mixed up. Still
Like
gonna
he
mention it
came
to Rev,
from
though.
the crater?
He nods.
I see.
Rev, do you want me to roll again?
Sure, go ahead.
All right.
Navali, you are attentive to the person who seems to be sleeping, and you're completely positive that he is actually sleeping, and getting him the water and some food that you essentially had to force feed him.
Mm-hmm.
It's helping his body, and you're very confident about that. Outside of that, desert seems quiet and fine.
Sounds good.
Assuming you have nothing to talk about, we can move on to watch 3.
I don't have anything this time.
Mm-hmm.
Slostra 6, go.
Roll with advantage again.
Do it. Nice.
Our dice are good this session.
They really are. How am I supposed to kill you if you don't roll below 20? That being said, 6. You don't see anything threatening you. As your ears kind of perk up, you can hear the haggard breathing inside the dome. Beyond that, there doesn't seem to be any danger.
She's quiet for the night, unless Celestra has something she wants to talk about.
Celastra's a little curious if Six has any insight on the random tabaxi we found.
I'm assuming not, Skern.
Doesn't look familiar.
No.
Okay.
Just some person.
His clothing doesn't quite match the stuff from the city you came from, but there's lots of cities in the desert. That can mean anything.
Fair enough. That is all then.
I wonder what he was doing at the crater. We can ask in the morning.
We will find out.
Morning comes. And as morning comes and the party breaks for breakfast, the person you're taking care of eventually does start to stir, and still clearly weak and clearly like a sick man who's waking up from bad flu, seems groggy and clearly still a little bit delirious, but seems to have far more attention than he did the day before. And his first reaction as he takes a glance around is, "What? Where? Am I dead?"
No. You're... No, go ahead.
Who are you?
6 empty beds from the City of Winds. These are my companions. We found you dying in the desert. We gave you food and water, and now you're here.
He's blinked several times. My name is Vibrant Song. Sorry. Still hurts to talk. Why are you traveling with so much bait?
We're going to investigate the crater. They're my companions and bodyguards. Their skills are useful to me.
Oh. You know about the magic residue then?
Explain.
What? Around the crater, there's magic residue that can be used to make interesting stuff. Sometimes we gather it. Isn't that why you're there? Going there?
She thinks for a moment, not really answering the question. It's similar to Aethersite.
Yeah, it's like powdered aethers. You know what aethersite is? That makes things a lot easier.
Is it literally powdered Aethersite?
Yeah.
Residue from the new Victorian weapon.
What? No, that. Maybe? What?
My slaves are more knowledgeable on machines and the arcane, so they're going to talk to you instead. When breakfast is ready, we'll give you some.
He sits there, still clearly very out of it.
I imagine we're just pulling out like dried rations. There's no like
Yeah,
breakfast
there's no.
skillet.
Yeah, it's not like you're cooking eggs or anything. It's basically you're eating oatmeal bars, let's be honest.
Gotcha. Okay, amend that to when we eat, we'll give him some.
Sure. Definitely will not say no. He seems at the very least healthier and enough that when you hand him food, he's able to actually move, grab, and chew without aid this time. Where did you come from to go check this crater out? Thought my team was gonna be the only ones there.
What was that?
Oh, I asked
Well-
who his team was.
There you go.
Sorry. We're a group. We gather it and sell it back to the druids to make some magical tomes and other trinkets. Uh, well, who are you?
I was kind of casting a look at 6. Trying to get a read on maybe how to answer that.
She has this look like, I don't know, man.
We are Shield of the Outcast, a guild from Dolvaran.
He seems extremely confused by that.
Can Leo insight? Not. I was going to say this before Rev talked, but I couldn't think of it. Like, is he probing for like
Yeah.
if we are a threat to him?
Go and roll insight.
I don't know if there's like a competitor group that's trying to get to this that he's worried about.
At the very least, with 11, I will tell you that you can tell talking is very difficult for him. You're not sure what he's trying to say beyond that.
Um, well, Leo was there when when it was mentioned that we could talk, and so he'll bring up. Is there anything of a arcane nature that we should be aware of at the crater beyond this residue?
Have you never been there before?
Uh, kind of like just looks to 6 and says, "It's my first time."
Roll persuasion. Right. I guess they wouldn't. Don't go inside unless you're really. He kind of looks forlornly for a second. I thought there'd be more, and then Shadow and Smoke just grabbed them when they went inside the crater. They had all the stuff on them, and I don't know what to do.
Could you describe the shadow and smoke? Like it grabbed them?
It was like hundreds of small hands wrapping them into a wall of darkness that I couldn't see through. But never, it's only inside the crater. It's never come out outside of it.
Does that at all sound similar to Karito getting enveloped by the snake shadows?
No, that looked like smoke was all around him.
Okay. Did you hear anything?
No.
Sort of looping back over with interest, Six asks, "What city are you from?"
I'm from the City of Mountains. I'm not that. Have you been there?
She shakes her head.
He immediately goes quiet and does not elaborate further.
Leo sort of stood up at some point, kind of realizing that he didn't have much more to offer to the conversation, but would walk over to Karuto and say, "Do you know on the map approximately how far the City of Mountains is?"
Would I?
It is past the crater an extra 5 days. Approximately.
Leo's just doing mental math on how many supplies he would need.
With basic mental math, it would probably be 10 to 12 days from here.
Not to mention the need to bed down for 3 more days just to recover, I
Yeah.
imagine.
Reason that, like, if your group went, you probably only get there in between 7 and 9. I added days entirely because he's clearly not doing well.
Yeah.
It looks like supplies are used for travel pace. You said we have a shit ton of food.
Yes.
If we gave him enough supplies to bed down and enough food to make it, even if he ran out of supplies again, if he had food, he'd be fine. That's my read on the situation. Is that like mechanically correct, Skern?
I was gonna say supplies would keep him from becoming exhausted as well. Running out of supplies is what creates the levels of exhaustion.
Only food. That's what the document says.
Running out of supplies slows you down.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You travel at half speed when you're out of supplies.
He'd potentially only need 3 supplies. Or 6.
Oh, we have plenty. Especially if I'm saying this out of character. We have plenty to offer him to get back, especially if we're not going to the cove.
So, out of character, what does the group think about arming Vibrant Song with enough supplies to long rest 3 times and then enough food to get home?
Characters for it.
Sounds reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming he thinks he can make it back by himself, then yeah.
Yeah, and I'll ask him, what's stopping you from making it back if you had food and supplies?
Are you offering food and supplies?
Though we've only discussed this out of character, Six looks around to get a read on the other party members as the conversation moves toward this.
Yeah, no disagreement.
That's in favor.
Nothing, I guess. So the desert's been really strange for the past week.
No wind.
He nods.
Why?
I don't know. That's why we wanted to go in and see if the crater had something to do with it.
We are going into the crater. If your fellows are still alive, shall we send them to the City of Mountains?
Why are you going in?
It's personal.
He seems to be thinking thoughtfully for a moment, and then reaches for the pouch on his side. And it takes him a bit of time, but he eventually gets to untie it and kind of throws it at you. Very weakly, bounces on the ground next to you over actually getting near you.
Reach out to try to take it from it. What's in the pouch?
Inside the pouch, it appears to be it's gold, but not gold coins. It appears to be an amulet of some kind that is clearly carved very elegantly.
What is this?
If you find them, they'll know you were with me.
She nods.
The two people who are missing are Spell and Rain and Quill in the grass.
Sorry, spell out of character. Spell and Rain is one name.
Yes.
Okay.
Because Tabaxi have fun names.
They do have fun names. You shouldn't travel with us. The monsters will come for us. Go a different way.
I'm gonna agree. Are you offering food?
Yes, enough to get you home. Exactly enough supplies for you to rest and be healthy. Don't waste them.
He seems a little bit confused by the generosity, but does not seem to actively say anything about it. You can tell him he's definitely looking at you warily.
This isn't a... Oh, good.
You can very much tell. It's not that he doesn't trust you, it's that he doesn't understand what you're getting out of this.
This is a gift. I don't expect anything from you in return.
If you find them, let them know that I'm sorry I couldn't get them help.
I'll pass along your message.
So that would be 6 supplies and like 12 food for my math.
If you want to be completely safe, yes.
Okay, I'll do that.
Any other questions you would like to ask him as he gathers up what you give him? And that, in that case, he will take the food, the water. He'll make sure he can move well enough, and you all watch as he, clearly limping, but is able to move, and starts heading, funny enough, just south of where you would normally head, where you are personally heading. You can physically watch him walk away in a different direction as you walk kind of similarly.
There's something I want to say to him before he goes.
Sure.
As he's getting ready to leave, Six sort of gets his attention and says, "This is what I want you to take away from this gift. Mercy isn't weakness. Now go home. And don't die."
He looks very thoughtfully at you as you say this. Who taught you that?
She did. I point at Navali.
Your slaves are very strange.
Yeah, they are. There's a smile with that.
Before I go, can I ask one question?
She nods.
Why don't they have collars?
They don't need them.
Could you roll me persuasion very quickly? You can tell on his face there's a sudden recognition of what you've been saying. And he doesn't seem to be openly offended, but definitely has a look of just confusion for a split second. But it's immediately put back into the, oh, I'm too weak to care. Mercy is not a weakness, and I won't die, at least until I get back there.
Good.
And he heads off.
As he goes, the sort of tough guy persona fades away from Six, and she's like, "Man, that was fucked." This is horrible. All of this is horrible.
I think you did good though, Six.
You're rubbing off on me. Plus, that was our decision. That wasn't just mine. We did good.
Yes, I agree.
If we want to be seen as people who help outcasts and who defend the weak, then this is it. This is what it takes.
What does it mean that slaves are helping them, though. That's sort of, I guess I wonder if that undermines our position a little bit.
I don't know. He seemed to take what I said to heart. Plus, I think with anyone with half a brain can tell that you guys aren't my slaves. What's the word when you do something to like keep up appearances, but it's like really fake?
I'm uncertain.
What's up?
I said I don't know.
Oh, well, that's what it is.
I think
It's an illusion, a facade.
I think that we're good people, and that if we want to make change, this is how we do it. And if that means that he's going to go back to where he lives and tell about the crazy tabaxi who let her slaves help and gave him food for free because mercy isn't weakness, then that's fine. That's something.
little things can become big things.
Yes. I've learned that from you all. I'm ready to see what's in that crater and beat the shit out of whatever gets in our way.
Me too.
I'm ready for it. And ready to get out of the desert, if I'm honest. But
Please.
let's go take down that, whatever is causing trouble here.
Yeah.
And find a way to close the rift that we will tear open.
Mhm.
That's right.
With that pep talk, you continue forward. Investigation or perception from two people. Yeah, I just assumed.
I guess I could investigate.
Go for it. As you travel away from vibrant song and bid your adieu, your travels take you further onward. And after a bit of time, you start noticing there's lumps all over the sand, almost as if it's like a face that has acne all over it. And as you continue to walk, you notice that these are the little baby birds, except they're all dead. Holes pierced through them, and some of them clearly chopped to pieces. You notice their blood is a very black ichor that has been spilled across all this sand. And as you continue to walk forward, seeing all of this, You notice a fresh paint of red blood that travels a bit further north of where you currently are.
Skern,
What's up?
do all of the abyss monsters bleed black? We fought quite a few.
They bleed a purplish black liquid, yes.
This blood is not from an abyss monster, then.
Correct.
I say as much in character.
Uh,
I'm going to correct myself as I looked up something. The blood is not red, it is actually a vibrant blue.
oh. Well, that's still different.
Yes,
So
it is definitely different.
a nature check to know anything about that?
Sure. There are creatures that have blue blood. It's not arcane in the very least. It's rare, but they exist.
Creatures as in humanoids, or would I get that with an 11?
You don't think it's humanoid.
Leo says as much and says we could check it out, but I don't think. Well, perhaps it's when you said the things were chopped up. Is that like by a sword?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
You can look closer, and with 17 in your investigation, uh, it it definitely looks as if there was piercing and slashing damage across it, but it looks uneven and choppy in many ways. You would guess claws or more natural weapons.
Yeah, I mean, Leo summarizes that and says it's going in the wrong direction, but we could check it out if we wanted.
I'm curious. What do the rest of you think?
If my understanding of our supplies is to be correct, then we cannot afford a distraction such as this.
That's my thought.
Mm-hmm.
I too am curious, but I am of a mind to keep pushing on unless
The only thing that I can think to offer is the conversation we had a few days ago that there are perhaps native monsters that could be a threat to our vibrant song, but it seems that this is heading in the wrong direction, so it wouldn't intercept him in any way.
We're not entirely in agreement.
As I was looking stuff up, 6. Could you roll me nature with advantage? Keep talking.
Since we're not entirely in agreement, can I suggest we spend half an hour looking in that direction, and if we find nothing, we go back?
with that. Is everyone else okay with that?
Sure.
Seems reasonable.
I know what this is. It's a giant scorpion. They use them as mounts.
I'm sure I do not need to point out the unwise nature of such a course if it were a wild one.
One wouldn't be able to take us. They're not very strong by themselves.
Do the tracks that we proceeded to investigate earlier perhaps only point to one of them?
As you look at the ground, it is a bit chaotic due to the fact that battle clearly happened here. But as far as you can tell, if at the very least, only one of them is bleeding. It is difficult to tell if there's only one of them at all.
Just throwing. I don't know if Scorpion riders tend to be a cavalry troop of sorts, but there could be more than one.
Hmm. I understand our supplies are low, but I think it's worth it to investigate. But if I'm outvoted, then I'll keep going.
Let's investigate.
Very well.
Survival check for tracking.
Go, Carter.
Karuto, you follow it for about the half hour that Six suggested, and you figure out that it probably moved further beyond this. It's not hard to follow, but it's hard to tell exactly how far it went. You're not sure. It'll probably take half the day, which means your journey will probably add a full extra day to the actual travel time if you want to actually follow it completely.
Carter realizes.
Mm. I don't think it's worth it anymore. What do you guys think?
If you don't think so, I guess we could move on.
It's selfish. I've always wanted a giant scorpion.
Are they easily tamed?
I don't know. Or do I know? I don't.
You've seen them.
I've
You,
seen
we both know your backstory. The answer is you have no idea.
I have no idea. I've seen people ride them. They seem friendly. And they're really cool. But
Hmm.
it's not worth putting us in danger over.
Okay. Maybe when we're better equipped to capture ourselves a scorpion, we could do something like that.
Yes. According to this map, the city of Red Sands is fairly close to the border, so if we were ever feeling impulsive, we could always take a trip to buy one.
It's definitely an option.
Hmm.
I'm sorry I delayed us.
I'm just imagining how your lords would react as we teleported back with a giant scorpion in the little room.
Her name is Miss Pinchers, and I love her.
Well, it sounds like we're turning back.
DM is going to confirm. You decide to turn back and just make progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very convincing, 6.
The needs of the group and the mission are more important than Six's personal wants, but she doesn't have to be excited about it.
You turn back. You start heading back to the crater. Sun goes down. You know you're getting close now. Day, probably closer to 2, and you'll be there. Please, watch order again.
Big 3. Frodo, just roll 3.
I am with Lirin.
Oh, okay.
Then I guess I'm on second watch with Rev.
Okay, Celestra Navali. Perception checks.
What's your perception bonus?
5.
Advantage.
Oh,
Whoa!
Whoa! Navali's so focused right
She's
now.
seeing to 5 dimensions.
The legendary double crit.
On a perception check, though.
This could be a really important perception check.
This is fair.
Honestly, looking at what I rolled, Navali, you look out into the wilderness and your ears twitch every now and then. Is there any conversations you'd like to have with Celestra before I continue?
No, I think as soon as she locks her eyes on something, she's focused on it.
It's too far away to see. You have dark vision, that's still only 60 feet. But you have a very good hearing. And you can hear something sliding or skittering far off into the distance. Maybe half a mile away.
Is the sound something I have heard in the desert before?
Nature. No.
You know, actually, for a -1, that's not a bad roll.
That's an extremely good roll. But the answer is no. This doesn't sound like the cats. This sounds like the lions. Cats and lions are the same thing. This doesn't sound like the antelopes. This doesn't sound like the phoenixes. Doesn't even sound like the snake spirits or anything to that degree. It sounds. It's like a dull tapping sound that's happening rapidly.
Alastra,
Yes.
I think my ears might have caught something coming towards us. It sounds. It doesn't sound like anything we have come across in the desert before. It sounds like it's more making a bunch of tapping sounds. I am uncertain. I will keep my attention focused on it so I can see if I can continue to track it, but I just wanted to let you know.
What do you think it could be?
Well, it's not an antelope or a giant serpent or a phoenix, so at the very least, it's none of those, and it doesn't sound like any of the lions that we come across.
Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye out.
Mm-hmm. Navali's just going to keep her attention, just following the sounds of the tapping.
By the end of your watch, you hear the tapping stop, and then just very faintly the sound of sand being dug.
As in, like, it burrowed underground.
That sound, yes. though you're not completely sure if it's burrowing or just digging.
Hmm. She will let the next group know exactly what she heard.
I don't like that.
I guess it didn't sound like any of the creatures we've come across yet. So I would just keep your ears open to hear it. It did sound like it buried itself maybe, or I heard some sort of digging like noises, so I'm not sure where it went after that.
Anyway, with that information, please roll me perception watch number 2.
Hardo.
Hello. It's me, the perception guy. I perceive things. Except when I don't. It's okay, I perceive things.
You know, just beat Navali's double natural 20. It's fine.
Yeah.
Karuto,
hmm
because it's pointed out to you, you can also hear that sound, but you can also faintly hear the sound of just it's almost like a faint chewing. And then you can tell that whatever this thing is it seems to every now and then stop what it's doing, tap across the sand again, and then start digging again. Roll me nature.
That's chill.
You think
Oh.
of time before you were you, time hanging with foxes. And this kind of behavior reminds you of a creature who's scavenging by actively digging up burrows. It's not burrowing itself.
Hmm. Character's gonna keep a sharp eye for it.
It seems to stay about a half mile away. Doesn't seem to have any idea of where you are. The dome makes that very difficult. It doesn't get anywhere near your actual vision. Third watch?
Your perception is higher than mine.
Karuto, do you inform third watch about this sound you keep hearing?
Yeah, he's gonna mention like it seems to be some kind of small scavenger burrowing
I
about
would
the
not say
place.
small.
Oh, okay. I get that impression from just like hearing it.
Yes, because you wouldn't be able to hear it if it was small.
Fair enough.
That sounds concerning. Our rolls are just like
Okay,
incredible.
at some point, you have to get below a 20.
No.
We're saving those rolls for the crater fight.
Yeah.
It's gonna go real shit.
6, you can also hear the sound that I've been describing. At the very least, whatever this creature is clearly nocturnal.
Am I able to figure out what it is?
Nature.
No.
Correct. The answer is no.
I think, wow, that's weird. I'm glad it's not an abyss monster.
Say as it totally could be. But either way, it does not seem to actively come towards the dome. You just know that it's within the area. Morning comes.
Oh, well, sorry.
Go ahead. If you want to have a conversation, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, I wanted to check because you had sort of elected to take watch with Leo.
Oh, I just rolled the dice.
Oh, I rolled a different watch than you. That's why I was confused.
There was only 2 spots left.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, because Celestra and Navali both rolled a 1, so I rolled a 1d2. 1 being
Oh,
watch 2 and 2
you rolled a
being watch
1d2.
3.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I did not recognize that. Okay. Well, sorry. I paused because I was expecting you to say something, but I got that wrong. So instead, I will say something.
Ah,
Ugh. Well, Leo's looking for the moment at which he recognizes that you're paying attention to this thing, and when he gets a sense from you that you're unconcerned, he'll sort of mention, so you died.
yeah. That happened.
I've not been sure how to bring it up. You tell me to not apologize for things, but yet I feel the need to again for not being there.
It's not your fault. It's that monster that we fought that killed me.
And well, it's hard to not feel like I couldn't have tried to do something about that if I had been there.
Everyone else has felt the same way and said the same thing to me. I don't blame anybody. Well, I blame the monster. It fucking sucked. It cut right into my heart. I've got a cool scar. Do you want to see?
Leo's like, you see his face kind of twist and like an oh god, but then he probably reads excitement on your face, like you want to show him.
Yeah, she wants to show you the scar.
And then he's like, sure.
Shows him the scar, the big burned mark going down from her shoulder to where her heart is. Lyran, I've had time to come to peace with this, and I know that not everyone else has. But this is what happened. There was a big monster. Everybody was really, really hurt. And I knew that if I didn't do something, it was going to be bad. I thought I could handle it, so I ran in front. I died. Celestra was there, and she couldn't change it. And if Celestra couldn't change it, what hope do you have?
It never came up in the midst of leaving Vermilia's home, but I brought Carto back. He wasn't quite in the state that you were describing, but I've prepared that contingency just in case. I've never had to use it,
I hope you never do.
but I could have tried.
Not when Celestra did. I don't think that's how it works.
Out of character, I know that it does. Leo's allowed to try as well.
Leo has to try first.
Oh.
Ah.
I'm quite confident that I could have.
Maybe you could, but that's not what happened, and it doesn't matter. Lyran, maybe this is a little crass, but stop beating yourself up over me dying. It's not your fault. I don't blame you. And if you could have changed it doesn't matter.
I'm speaking bluntly. I am the most critiquable person of the group, and yet I'm forgiven for this.
Yes. Lyrin, I have criticisms of you, but this is not one of them. It would be foolish for me to blame you for my death when you didn't even have a part of it.
Is inaction not the same as being complacent if we don't do something and somebody suffers when
But
we
you were
could have?
taking action. You were doing something. It didn't work, and I think it was a waste. But you were doing something. You weren't doing nothing. Of all the things that I could say, Lyrin, of all the criticisms that I could come up with, I would never call you lazy, unmotivated, or not dedicated to what you believe in.
Leo's just kind of like breathing, trying to figure out what to say next.
If I were to critique you, I think that you want to act like my dad. But I already have a dad, and I don't need another one.
I just want to keep people safe, and that probably is what's giving that impression.
The way that you try to keep people safe is,
Not working, getting people in danger.
well, it makes me feel like you don't trust me, and it makes me feel like you think that I'm less than you. And we're the same. We're good at different things. You talked about wanting to feel useful. We couldn't do this without the dome. We couldn't have had a peaceful resolution with the demons if you couldn't understand them. Just stop comparing yourself to me and to everyone else. You're good in your own way.
I appreciate you saying that.
I'm not just saying it. That's what I believe.
Yes.
I wish that you would trust us the way that we trust you.
I don't know how to describe quite a response to that. I feel like I am trusting, but I know what you're talking about.
You don't trust me because you told me that if something bad happened to Karito, it was on me. You don't trust me because you attacked the snake. We're supposed to be a team, and this is the one thing that I'm good at. Let me be good at that one thing.
You don't need me to let you do it.
I don't. I already am.
I agree.
This desert has been very difficult for all of us. I am not angry that you panicked. I panicked when we were fighting Willow. I am hurt that I feel like you don't trust me. And I know that there's nothing else I can do to change that. You've expressed trouble fitting in with us, Bleerin, but it is you who excludes yourself. All of us are ready and willing to accept you. And the reason why I get mad at you, or why I avoid you, is because when you don't see that, it hurts. You don't have to say anything if there aren't any words to say. It's fine. I've had a long time to think about this.
Can I ask a question about you?
Sure.
Did you have friends growing up? I know family is a bit tricky, but is this the first group of folks? I know when we met in Dolveron that very first time, you had a couple of companions that I think worked by the docks, but I don't know how close you were with them, or if you had friends elsewhere.
Kind of, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't like this. This is the first time that I've had friends who I feel like I could tell anything to. Or friends where if I was in danger, I know that they'd help me. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's hard. It was so hard to adjust.
I think I turned 82 recently, and I've frankly never had a friend. I've had colleagues before I retired from my last line of work, but it was just me and my mom, and then it was just me, and we've known each other for half a year now, and I'm still adjusting to what it's like to be around people, let alone to trust them. Not that you're inherently untrustworthy. I hope that
I'm not offended.
that you know, yeah, but it's just comfort in solitude, relying on oneself and letting go of that.
We're stronger together than we are separately. When I grew up in the City of Winds, Snow taught me that I had to rely on myself, that everybody else would be looking to get what I had, and that if I wasn't careful, that I would be stepped on by people looking to get ahead of me. And that's what I believed when I joined up with the guild. I think that part of having friends is letting yourself open up to that hurt.
Well, what do you suggest for me then? Let's say after all this, Leo waves to the desert.
After all of this, I would like to sit down as a guild and have you tell us a secret about you that embarrasses you. Before you left on your trip, you said that we were going to get all our shit out in the open. But it wasn't. It was just Rev and I's, and we were angry and embarrassed. I want to hear what has hurt you.
Well, I'm happy to share once we get out of here.
And sort of less formally, I just need you to chill. You're so tightly strung. I know we're in danger. I know the world is falling to shit. I know that the desert is dying and we might make it worse. But the way I see it, we've got two choices. That's to take action or to just lay down and die, and I don't want to die again. It was boring. So I just got to keep going. And I think you just got to keep going too. The world isn't perfect. You can't know everything. And if you only take action when all the chances are right, when everything is in place, then you'll just never do anything. That's what you're afraid of, isn't it?
Leo's like nodding.
Being nobody, doing nothing. Well, it's better to do something and to make a mistake than to do nothing at all. What do you think, that I went through training never making a mistake? No, I fucking sucked for a long time. I'm mystified that I can cross swords with Permelia and Navali and be their equal, but here we are.
Certainly the stakes are different, though. Your sparring lessons versus tearing a rift into the abyss.
Yes. That's why I'll do my best and I won't be paralyzed with fear. I can't afford to.
I will only, you talked about what you're good at. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm good at worrying, although I do it all the time. But I am good at research and planning and such. And
You are.
while I will try to lean into the urgency of today or several days from now once we get to the crater, I think there's a space for planning as well, as best as we can, at least.
You're good at a lot of things, Leorin. Planning, magic. You generally know how to talk to people, even if you think you don't. I don't think anyone in the guild will deny that. As for what comes next, I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Will you?
Of course. And thank you. You've given me a lot to think about.
She nods.
That was a long watch.
And with the sun rising and only another day until you reach the crater, we will end there and almost guaranteed make it there next session.
And save the world.
Sure.
I believe in us and our world-saving powers.
We've probably inadvertently saved some place at least once, and some place means in the world, so.
Okay. I will not correct you. It's fine. For now, I hope everyone had a good time, and we will continue this soon.
Thanks for running.
Thanks for
Keep running.
Thanks,
Things
Karen.
good.